Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First thing I'd like to do today is to introduce you to one of your neighborhood boys. If you look over here at the Lima Company paintings, you'll see a couple of flag drapes. The one on the left side, the image in the middle is Chris Dyer, one of your neighborhood guys. And I'd like his father, John Dyer, to stand, and his wife, Catherine. The flag drape on the right, right over the left shoulder of David Kreuter, our son. I'd like to introduce my wife, Pat Murray, David's mother. And one of his two sisters, Kristen. We're kind of all in this together, you know. But we're right here at Veterans Day. In just a few hours, we'll be at the official date of Veterans Day, which is the opportunity that we take in our country to recognize veterans from all services and all eras. So I'd like to say good evening, veterans, honored guests, friends, neighbors, and veterans. Thank you for being here today and standing up once again for your country. And thank you for being there to serve when that time came along. It would appear that it's a great day to be a veteran in America. But you know, it wasn't always this way. In my lifetime particularly, first it was good and necessary to be a veteran. Then it was okay to be a veteran. And then a while later, it became dangerous to be a veteran. And then after a while, it was okay to be a veteran. And once again, now it's great to be a veteran in America. Question to you military veterans, did you change at all? No. But we've had some changes in our country. But by and large, every time, our military veterans have always stood in and stood tall, protecting and projecting our way of life, our freedoms, and our opportunities. When we've been threatened or attacked, you folks, you veterans, have done the dirty work. We have some onlookers who just have a little bit of trouble seeing the reality of life because you folks know more than anyone else. If you're not ready to defend it, you're not going to keep it. Some of those folks just don't understand or just don't want to understand. They think all should be clean and bright and sweet and beautiful, and it just doesn't work that way. But at least now, we as a society have returned to expressing gratitude to our veterans and military personnel. We thank you so much. Protecting our country and our values is a tough order to fill. There are bad things that can happen. Jimmy Doolittle's Raiders are going to have one more get-together. Saw that in the newspaper. Unfortunately, without our friend and neighbor, Tom Griffin, local guy. There were 80 men who took off in bombers from the aircraft carrier USS Hornet. Talk about taking on a tough assignment, bombing a heavily fortified Tokyo in airplanes that couldn't carry enough gas to get back home. A little bit of a problem there. Wow, what a risk. But 69 of those guys made it back. Some of them took a while without being captured or killed. There are 4 left with us today. Sergeant Paul Braunhaver of Claremont County tells of the ambush that knocked out his Humvee, killed and wounded many of his men, and left him with a body full of shrapnel. Kind of a signature situation for Iraq. He said, "It occurred to me during the firefight that this could be my last day on earth. Perhaps many of you veterans have had a similar thought in a tough moment on a battlefield. Our son's Marine Reserve Unit, Lima Company, out of Columbus, Ohio, is an infantry unit with a distinguished combat history, and every Marine knew they had big boots to fill. These guys were determined to be the best. Lima Company was known as Lucky Lima in March and April of 2005, participating in several major operations without casualties. They were smart, well-trained, and all business on the battlefield. Then, on Mother's Day, the word lucky went away, and they took casualties for 3 months. Protecting our country and our values is a tough order to fill. After those first casualties, the Lima Company families were called to a meeting at the Reserve Center in Columbus. One particular moment stands out in my memory when Chief Warrant Officer Bowman said, "Folks, we're in the death business. We bring it, and sometimes we have to take it." There were more casualties and then more, and then a really big event, and it was our turn in my family. I can tell you that absolutely nothing in life prepares you to open a door and see your wife flanked by 2 Marine sergeants. Life stops. Brain shuts down, roars to life, asks 100 questions, then crashes. Some of you folks have had that experience yourselves. It's quite a life-changing experience. But then you find a way to go on. There are things you have to do, things you have to take care of. And one of the thoughts that occurred to us was that all the guys who fought, served in those same situations, went through the same battles. Many of David and Chris's buddies came home, some in better shape than others. Some are still adjusting okay, some are not. Some are not quite finished with reconstructive surgeries. They're all in some kind of pain. When we got word that Lima Company Memorial was being proposed, we were skeptical like many other families. We went to Anita Miller's studio to see more details, find out some information, and then we joined the project. And over many months, as was mentioned in the video, many visits, we watched it all take shape. And then one day it was finished. Anita asked us if we would like to put the final coat of protective varnish on David's picture. All things considered, it was a rewarding experience to give him a real good shellacking. As I see the image of my son again and again, it's almost as if he's here, looking back at me, ready to say, "Hey, Dad." But he's not looking just at me. He's looking at everyone. The eyes of freedom from David and all the rest of the guys. You know, in country, these Marines saved many lives. They saved each other for a while. They saved Iraqis. Their corpsmen saved lives on both sides of the fight. Now, these guys are saving lives in a different way. So many veterans of all wars and conflicts have been moved to tears, been touched deeply, and have started to talk and share their stories for the first time. It's as if these guys can touch a soul and open up a part of someone's life that's been buried for years. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, even 70 years. A long time ago, a sports writer by the name of Grantland Rice wrote a little thing that I just dearly love. He said, "When the one great scorer comes to mark against your name, he marks not whether you won or lost, but how you played the game." These guys are still playing. And our veterans today are winning. As a Gold Star family, we're happy to see veterans every day, not just Veterans Day. We greet our veterans and thank them for their service. We need all the reminders, or we all need the reminders, that there are folks who have protected us, fought for us, and died for us so we can live our lives each day. We enjoy the freedoms that were purchased for us by those who served. You veterans had a big hand in our country as it stands and as we go forward. That contribution of toil, tears, sweat, and blood. By the way, that quote's from Sir Winston Churchill, not from a well-known rock band. But it's discouraging sometimes to read in the Inquirer, for instance, that a guy didn't vote last Tuesday because, oh, I actually didn't know what was going on. I was working all day. Yeah, okay. Or how about this one? Oh, we didn't know where to vote at. All right. Well, I guess people sort out their priorities and what's important to them. But certainly, you veterans and your families have made your priorities very clear. So now in a few minutes, most of you will leave here and not remember most of what I said. And that's okay, because there's no pop quiz waiting for you in the parking lot. Nothing that comes with your dinner to test your memory. But I want you to keep this feeling of assurance close to you. We're guarded by a military force second to none, living in a country second to none. This is the country that everyone else wants to get into. How did we get this far? Our military personnel served, sacrificed, fought, and died. We owe our veterans a debt of gratitude that is just too big to repay. I'll leave you with one final thought on that debt of gratitude. One group of veterans needs much more help than we're giving them now. All our wounded warriors are suffering. We continue to learn how to save so many more lives on the battlefield, but we must increase our research, treatments, and assistance to give these vets, and all vets, a better chance to rebuild their lives. B.C. Forbes, founder of Forbes magazine, said, "Do what's right. Do it right. Do it right now." There can't be anything more right than to help those who have pledged their lives to guarantee our freedom. I must ask you to look for ways to help the wounded warriors every chance you get. Do it right now. And veterans, tomorrow, Veterans Day, have a great day in America. We thank you so much.